So breaking news, in a surprising and very shocking move, Jon Rahm has pulled out of Tiger and Rory's new TGL Indoor Golf League at the very last minute. We've got a statement we're going to read here just in a second, and we're getting this information as it comes in. But one thing this is causing is the rumor mills to go flying. There are many on Twitter and social media speculating that this is a sign that we are going to see an announcement of John Rahm headed over to LIV. There are other rumors as well and theories in play here, which we're going to cover in just a second. But most importantly, this is the first significant withdrawal we've seen from the TGL. And we recently broke down the TGL with some very stacked rosters. Remember, the TGL just started doing some significant announcements when it comes to the structure of the new league this week. So the timing of this is particularly interesting. We broke down everything about the TGL in a recent video, so you can go and check that out. But the other thing that we recently did is we speculated that John Rahm may just be one of the next guys who heads over to LIV. We want to see what your opinion is on this, so make sure you weigh in the comments. But there's definitely a lot more questions than there are answers. So first, let's find out where we've got this information from, because it is only coming in right now from one particular source. It appears that Jon Rahm's agent had spoken with the Sports Business Journal and let them know that John was going to be backing out. The TGL then responded with a statement of their own where they said that we will miss him during the inaugural TGL season. We understand that players have to balance a lot of different facets of their professional and personal lives, and we respect John's choice and wish him well. So kind of a non-statement statement there from the TGL. So what this causes a lot of people to speculate the fact that John Rahm lives in Arizona and the TGL is going to be filming in Florida on Monday nights. So it makes me wonder, is this just a commuting issue, or is there something bigger? Keep in mind, not every player is going to be playing every Monday night. These are going to be teams of 4, and it is in the TGL, there'll be teams of 4, and each week a team will put up 3 of their players to go in a head-to-head match against another 3 players. So we're not talking about a every week commitment here by any means. And don't forget, guys like John Rahm, they travel all over the country. They're flying privately. So it makes me feel like a commute is probably not what's at play here. Although it is true, these guys do have packed schedules. And from time to time, it can be a little bit of an overcommitment. But it feels as though there must be something more to this here, because it looks from the outside looking in like the TGL is scrambling at the moment. Just overnight, the entire TGL website has been scrubbed of any of the mentions or graphics or anything else, including John Rahm, and their social media has also been scrubbed of all those original announcements having John Rahm joining the league. Now, why does this make us believe that fingers may be pointed towards John Rahm joining LIV? Well, keep this one thing in mind. The TGL is still a significantly partnered with the PGA Tour. If you look at that roster that they've put together, which has some very big names on it, not one single person on that list is on LIV. This obviously shows that the PGA Tour and LIV still have a contentious relationship in a lot of ways, and we're still not seeing any significant crossover when it comes to players. Additionally, there's been many who've speculated, including us here on the podcast, that deadline, that looming deadline for the PGA Tour and LIV to solidify their framework agreement, which is December 31st, is simply not going to happen. And more significant of evidence of that just dropped this week when we heard from Davis Love III, who is a policy board member for the PGA Tour, saying he didn't see any way that the deal would get done by the deadline. Remember, players are a huge key component, and that player board is a huge say in the matter of whether or not this deal gets done. So ultimately, on the surface, it would seem that if the PGA Tour and LIV are not going to get this deal done, or it's going to still be hanging in the balance, that there'd just be no way that someone could, under the current conditions, play for LIV and also compete in the TGL league that is, of course, in partnership with the PGA Tour, which, of course, has led many people to think if Rahm was backing out, a significant reason would be because he may be headed over to LIV. Now, shockingly, we haven't heard anything from Jon at the moment. In the original article by the Sports Business Journal, he had, through his agent, had indicated that Jon would be making a statement on this later today. Could that statement possibly come with more information, either confirming or denying a move to LIV? Absolutely. But I will say I'm a bit shocked to not see something even as simple as a tweet or some other very brief statement from John Rahm's official social media accounts. So far as of this morning, none of that has happened. But one thing I will say is that if he does make the move over to LIV, Jon is definitely going to have some explaining to do. Don't forget, as recently as this past August, Jon said, "I laugh when people rumor me with LIV Golf. I've never liked the format." So he recently said that on a podcast, basically, again, shooting down any type of rumors or laughing off any rumors of him joining LIV. The other side of the story, though, however, and this is something that we speculated on a recent podcast where, as Phil Mickelson was mentioning, he was getting a lot of interest and players calling him, and we were speculating who some of those players may be. John Rahm kind of topped our list because in a lot of ways, he's never really said anything significantly against LIV. In fact, in a recent statement, he even said that with regards to the PGA Tour and LIV, he said, "I hope they reach an agreement. Looking ahead, I hope they manage to reach an agreement. I think LIV will continue. From what I understand and what I've talked to their players, none of them intend to return, and that's why they left the PGA Tour. They left for a reason." Now, saying that they left for a reason is certainly a very empathetic statement for Jon Rahm to make, and it almost makes you wonder if he is sharing some of those same similar feelings, and that may be indicative of his decision to possibly join LIV as well. Don't forget as well, Jon was one of the loudest voices during the Ryder Cup in full support of his fellow countryman Sergio Garcia, full well feeling that Sergio should have every right to be there. So when you look at this, he has certainly not been one of the voices that has been fully against LIV. And while he will have certain statements that he'll have to in some way either maybe walk back is too significant way of saying it, but in some way justify or explain out his decision of why that may have changed or why he had flip-flopped after saying that he didn't like the format and then joining. But it's no different than many of the other players who have joined LIV who've basically said that maybe they changed their mind. Look at Brooks Koepka. Brooks Koepka was one of the guys who was the quickest to shoot down rumors that he was joining the league, only to turn around and making a surprise announcement of his own. So the question really becomes, do we believe that this is just simply a scheduling or a commuting issue is the reason why he backed out of this league? To me, I feel like it must be something more significant. When you have Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy as the two main faces behind the league, I would imagine, especially with Tiger, who a lot of these guys truly look up to, are not going to want to be in a situation where they're not able to participate. I think there would have to be something much more significant than a simple commute to cause Jon Rahm to want to back out and not participate in the TGL. But you guys let us know what you think. Weigh in the comments, and we will, of course, keep you updated right here as more develops. So make sure you subscribe.